I just have so much respect for you, Senator DeSteph, and I'm so glad you came on the show today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to serve from City Council for 8.5 years, the House of Delegates, and now the Senate. It's just been a pleasure to continue to serve.
Now, let me just ask you this. I've always wanted to ask you this, and I don't think we've ever had time to just sit and chat and talk about this. Now that you've had a chance, to serve on the Board of Supervisors and to serve in the House and now the Senate, what do you like the best? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Senate. And when people ask me that, I say it's easy. I said, I like the House. I enjoy the House 10 times better than being on City Council.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, well, what about now? I said, well, I like the Senate 10 times better than the House. And I just really enjoy being there. I enjoy being with the people. I enjoy the issues. I enjoy reading the bills. I enjoy the debates. I enjoy the discussions. I enjoy putting the logic through some of these things and looking at, as we've had many conversations, looking at the unintended consequences of bills and then the policy decisions that we're setting. Our job, in my opinion, is safety and security of our citizens, and then really creating an environment for our businesses and our families to succeed. And we try to do that through, pushing back regulations, stopping and lowering taxes wherever we can, and understand that there are times that you can't do that. And on the other side, really clarifying our laws so there's less litigation. And when you focus on those three things, you pretty much have your hands full, and it's a full-time job.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, Amanda, just like me, I'm sure that you put in a minimum of 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week just on your Senate job.
Absolutely.
And they say we're part-time, but for part-time, man, we put a lot of hours in.
I know, and that's exactly true. And I think also with social media, that has really changed the world that we live in because we want to be transparent. We want to interact with our constituents on a way that's relevant. If we have town halls and physical locations, my experience has been in many cases, a lot of times people they're so busy working and taking children to and from events that they're not able to attend or come. So social media is a lot of times the go-to, at least for my constituents. They reach out to me on Facebook as well. And so that's something that we might be talking about today in regards to FOIA and, how our world is changing and how we as legislators, whether it's, we had an Airbnb, which we might explain to folks what that is. We've got
Sure.
Uber and Lyft. We've have all these new technologies that have many times no laws on the books to determine, as you said, to protect health and safety of our constituency. And so we have to come up with laws. Right before we went on the show, I was talking to Kelsey here in the studio about Airbnb and how, even from region to region, it's different because coming from Virginia Beach, where it's a little more touristy than Chesterfield, I don't know why.
A little bit.
Maybe the beach has a little something to do with it. But
maybe an extra million or two visitors every year. Yeah, it could have a little bit to do with it.
So
our aquarium the Marine Science Museum down here gets about 600,000 visitors a year.
That's incredible. You have your hands full. And so a lot of times as legislator, just because the makeup of our district, sometimes we will look at an issue very differently. And do you want to explain to folks a little bit? We've got 2 minutes before we go to the break. Do you want to tell them real quickly before we go to the break kind of what Airbnb is?
Sure. Airbnb is basically allows somebody the ability, from a libertarian standpoint, we love it, to rent out a room in their house or rent out half their house or their entire house. It competes with hotels. It competes with bed and breakfast. It competes with, home rentals. They don't comply with normally do not comply with the local ordinances. And in the city of Virginia Beach, we've spent the last 50 years putting in place ordinances to protect our visitors. So under Airbnb, the way it was originally written, they would not come under the local ordinances. And frankly, we do that to ensure that if you rent a house with a pool, that there's the appropriate latches on the gates, that there's appropriate things, so you're not going to have to worry about a little 2-year-old wandering into your pool. Those are grave concerns down here. We want our visitors to come back, and we want them to enjoy life and have a good time. On the other hand, we want to make sure everybody's safe.
So this is going to be a really great show today. You guys need to stay tuned. We're going to be right back in 15, let's see, it's 15 seconds to the break. So we'll be back in 4 minutes. Write down the number, 804-454-1366, and stay tuned. We'll be back in 4 minutes. Senator DeSteph, thanks so much. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
This hour on WNTW 820 The Answer, featuring Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, is sponsored by All-in-One Services, Richmond's leader in flooring, bathroom, and kitchen remodeling. Call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. All-in-One Services has been Greater Richmond's premier floor, bath, and kitchen remodeler for over a decade, saving local homeowners thousands of dollars. Call All-in-One Services now at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. With All-in-One's A to Z service, you won't need subcontractors. Everything is included. All-in-One also lets you see your kitchen before it's remodeled with 3D software suited for homeowners and contractors alike. You'll quickly see why All-in-One is consistently in the top 5% of Angie's List and a repeat winner of their Super Service Award. With your floor, bath, and kitchen remodeling needs, call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. That's 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
Stealing and cutting grass. What do they have in common? They're both part of this week's Crime of the Week from the Chesterfield County Colonial Heights Crime Solvers program. On Sunday, July 16th, 3 suspects worked together to steal 2 utility trailers and 2 riding mowers from the Lowe's on Coger Center Boulevard. Just before 3 a.m., surveillance footage captured a dark-colored SUV being used in the theft of the first trailer and mower. Just after 4 a.m. the same morning, a red pickup truck was used to steal a second set. In both cases, the suspects cut security cables from the trailers and mowers. The mowers were Hustler brand, Raptor model, 52-inch, zero-turn motors. You can see related pictures at crimesolvers.net or on Facebook at crimesolverscch. If you have information on this or any unsolved crime in or fugitive wanted by Chesterfield or Colonial Heights, submit a tip anonymously through the hotline at 748-0660 or through the new P3 app. If your tip helps, you could receive a cash reward. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take the time to solve the crime.
So what would you do with an extra $500 a month in your budget? $500. This isn't hypothetical, by the way. This is something you may need to think about very soon if you decide to become a member of MediShare. MediShare is a way to pay for your health care, and typically it costs $500 less per month for a family versus other health care plans. So seriously, think about this. You could pay off loans, pay down a mortgage, save the money for retirement, donate to charity. That would be a big deal. But you know what? Here's the best thing. MediShare works. It has 250,000 members, and it's growing fast. With MediShare, not only do you save, you don't have to pay for things you don't believe in either, and that is a beautiful thing too. So here's how you can find out more, and you might actually wind up saving even more than $500 a month. So check into it. Here's the number. Call 844-43-BIBLE. That's 844-43-BIBLE. Now available in Montana. Call 844-43-BIBLE.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-651-3235. 800-651-3235. 800-651-3235. That's 800-651-3235.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is deep.
So welcome back to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, our weekly call-in town hall and radio show. I'll get that right. It's still the summertime, right? My mind is still on vacation. I'm still at Myrtle Beach. I wish. I should be at Virginia Beach because that's where Senator DeSteph is from. So it's such an honor to have him on the phone today. And we are talking about Airbnb. Speaking of vacation, Tom, you want to go on a vacation and you think, I really like to go to Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach is a place to be.
That's right.
It's the best place.
So we were talking before the break about Airbnb and just, their differences as far as each locality. And in Chesterfield, I know a lot of times people will rent out a room simply to make money. I'm thinking of my daughter, and I'm going to tell on her because she went to the Biltmore this past weekend, she and a friend, and they rented an Airbnb, and it was a gentleman that used to be a docent for, I think still is a docent for the Biltmore, and they stayed with him, and it was $50 a night. Now these are one's a medical student, one's a kid that's fresh out of college. They have no money. It cost them $50 a night. Can I go to Virginia Beach and get a room for $50 a night?
I don't think so. Not in today's environment.
They can come stay with you. We'll give you Senator DeSteph's number after the break. Oh, I'm just kidding. Oh, but you're right. I mean, there are different things that we have to take into consideration to protect the public and safety. And I think you and I were probably arguing different sides of this, but I think it's good for people to hear the different sides of an issue. And so tell folks about your view of Airbnb and what protections we need to put in place for those that rent through Airbnb.
Yeah, and I'm good with Airbnb. The only issue I have is that if you're going to rent a house or a room, that you have to comply with your local ordinances. And again, in Virginia Beach, we spent the last 50 years crafting tight ordinances. So when folks rent a house or a room or even in a B&B, that they know that they're going to be safe.
That's good. I agree with that.
On the other hand, if, let's say, Amanda, that you have a condo here in Virginia Beach or a townhouse down here, and you rent it out through Airbnb. Well, somebody goes in and has a big party there, and they burn down the house. Well, if you think about it for a minute, is your insurance going to cover it? Because you really you didn't have insurance for a rental house. You had insurance for a primary residence. And they're going to say to you, hey, that's an unintended use. We're not covering that use of it. And then what happens? Your mortgage company says, hey, wait a minute. Your insurance company's not going to cover this. We're going to call your loan, call your note. And then you're stuck. But there will be an insurance product if there's not already one on the market for Airbnb type rentals. Mm-hmm. But those are the things. If you're gonna have an Airbnb house, you should make sure you have Airbnb insurance.
Absolutely.
You want to make sure you're covered. You want to make sure that if somebody falls down and breaks the leg, they come back suing you for $50,000, that you've got the insurance to cover it.
Now, let's just say I'm the consumer and I'm looking at Airbnbs online. How do I ensure that the person that I'm rooming from has that type of insurance?
That's one of the challenges, and that's something that they're crafting to put in the law for Airbnb as a whole. So those are some of the challenges that we're looking at. Here's another one, and this is a little more touchy and probably a little sensitive on a Christian radio show. Not that you're pushing a Christian radio show, but imagine that you have a house right next to a school, a middle school or a grade school, and you put it in Airbnb. How are you going to ensure that that's not a child molester who's renting out the house right next to a school? Well, Airbnb doesn't provide the names to the localities or to the owner or anyone else. So you just rent it out. It's all done autonomously. And so you don't know anonymously, not autonomously. So it's done
That's your next bill, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Not a problem. I got that one too. So anyways, since it's done anonymously, you don't know if that's a child sexual predator or not. Mm. And they're right there. And frankly, they're just going to say, hey, I was on vacation in Virginia Beach. They're not going to say, oh, the house I rented was right next to a grade school or middle school. They don't have to. Why? Because it's done anonymously. Now, so those are some of the issues.
Now, I know one of the laws that we did pass out of the General Assembly says that you have to register with your locality, correct?
I'm not sure if that passed or not, to be honest with you. I'll have to go back and read the details of the bill. I know that we had a couple of bills last year, and they were going back and forth, and we had some issues with them. I think they put it in the study group again, but we'll get there with it. It's just going to take some tweaking, just like Uber and Lyft did.
I think that one did pass, and I'll check back on that as well. But I'm pretty sure that was the one part that passed. But you see how you can take an issue. I just want to point out to our listeners, even though we're both conservative Republicans, and we come from different geological. I don't know why I'm not talking today. It's not good not to be able to talk on talk radio. Geological areas, sometimes, you see things a little differently, and it helps each other, because sometimes coming from Chesterfield, I may not say some of the same things that Senator DeSteph is going to see from Virginia Beach. So it's important that we have each other and we have these dialogues and conversations and everything, because we add to that discussion and give each other a better understanding. So I think it's great. I love the discussion. I like hearing.
Yeah, I do as well. And we have, like in Virginia Beach, we have a ton of veterans. So when it comes to veterans issues, I always jump on board with those. But I do it logically, and there's some things that folks are like, why did you try to kill this bill? Or why did you kill this bill? It's like, well, because it's already being done. And they're like, well, explain. And then, you lay it out. One of the ones that I'm probably putting in this year, I always put in electronic voting for deployed military. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be able to execute on that until the next governor. The current one we have through State Board of Elections, they just can't get it done.
Mm-hmm. We've got enough issues.
We've lost confidence in their ability to get anything done in a reasonable manner. And heck, they misapply our laws and violate our statutes. We call them in front of it, and they say, "Oh well, we can't do that." Well, sure you can. You just need to put the time into it. But they refuse to do it is the issue, and that created a lot of havoc this year. But here's a good one. We have our National Guard, and the National Guard has been deployed time and time again to support the global war on terrorism. Well, our National Guard, let's say that they live outside of the state of Virginia, but they're with a Virginia National Guard unit. And let's say they've deployed for a year, they want to come back and go to Virginia Beach College or a Virginia college. They currently would pay out-of-state tuition. We'd like them to pay in-state tuition if they're serving in the military, whether it's the National Guard and activated for something like that, or in the regular military. If you're in the military, you're in the military. If you're protecting our country and deployed, you should be able to receive some of those benefits, such as in-state tuition. So that's a bill I'll probably push in this year.
You might have a co-patron speaking, and we're going to go to the break. We'll be right back in 4 minutes. But take down the number, 804-454-1366. Call in and let Senator DeSteph and I know how you feel about that. I think that's a great bill. You might have a co-patron right here.
Well, there you go.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This hour on WNTW 820 The Answer, featuring Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, is sponsored by All-in-One Services, Richmond's leader in flooring, bathroom, and kitchen remodeling. Call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. The Russia investigation seems to be gaining momentum. The Wall Street Journal reports Special Counsel Robert Mueller has impaneled the grand jury to look into allegations of Russian meddling in last year's U.S. election. It's a 15-month prison sentence for a 20-year-old Massachusetts woman who sent her boyfriend dozens of text messages urging him to take his own life. Michelle Carter was convicted in June of manslaughter. President Trump blames Congress for what he says is an all-time low in U.S. relations with Russia, and now some members of Congress are answering back. They're blaming Russian President Putin. On Wall Street today, the Dow was up 10 points, closing at a record 22,026. The Nasdaq ended 22 points lower, and the S&P was down 5 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Mike Gallagher here for Relief Factor. You might be asking, who should consider ordering Relief Factor? Well, anyone with pain that's keeping them from doing things that bring joy to their life. Maybe taking a long walk, not having the pain, riding a bike, playing golf again without pain, opening a jar or sewing or using a hammer, even rolling out of bed every morning without pain. For me, I had hip replacement, and then I had a little bit of a scooter accident in New York, left me miserable, aches and pains, until I started taking Relief Factor. Heard about them on the radio. I started to take Relief Factor, a packet in the morning, a packet in the evening. You know what? I was completely pain-free. I want to prove it to you by you taking the 3-week quick start from Relief Factor. It's only $19.95. Do you know 80% of those who take the quick start order again? We know it works. So if your pain isn't worth the price of a cup of coffee a day to lower, then you're not in much pain. If it is worth it, try the 3-week quick start. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-500-8384, Relief Factor.
This week, the Hopewell Prince George Crime Solvers is seeking information on a recent robbery. On June 5th, 2017, at approximately 10:27 p.m., a masked subject entered the 7-Eleven located at 3301 Oaklawn Boulevard in Hopewell and robbed the clerk at gunpoint before fleeing the business. The offender is described as a black male with a medium complexion, 25 to 35 years of age, 5'9" to 6 inches tall, 150 to 180 pounds with a medium build. He was last seen wearing a dark hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, black in color sneakers, and was in possession of a dark in color handgun. Any persons having information on this crime are encouraged to contact the Hopewell Prince George Crime Solvers in Hopewell at 541-2202 or in Prince George County at 733-2777. You can also provide a tip via the web at tipsoff.com. If your information leads to an arrest, you can receive a cash reward of up to $1,000. Remember, criminals have nowhere to hide with you on our side. Lieutenant Paul Intravia for the Hopewell Prince George Crime Solve.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
We know it was them who sent sound bites of Michael Savage to England to get him banned in England. You Nazi rats, you. You left-wing Nazi rats. Half of you are children of Holocaust survivors. You rats. You've been on drugs so long, you don't even know you become the worst scum on the planet.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays, here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio. WNTW 820, The Answer.
Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, your state senator in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm here on the phone with Senator Bill DeSteph, state senator from the great city of Virginia Beach. And we are so glad you're here on the phone today. And there's so many things we could talk about. You wanted to talk about DPOR, which is the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation. What would you like to talk about with DPOR? There's so much we could talk about here.
We could, and we talk about one of the things is creating an environment for our businesses to flourish or to really grow. And, you know, if you look at DPOR's stated goals, it's to ensure the minimum competency necessary to practice without harming the public. And it further states that it strives to promote a positive business climate. Well, here's the issue. On things such as, and I'm getting clarification now on this, we've gone through the AG's office, we're working with the Board of Contractors, working with the state building code officials. Let's say that Amanda bought a house that was built 30 years ago, and she all of a sudden decides that she's going to put a big hot tub in on the second floor in the master bedroom. Well, she'd have to put structural supports, or in the master bedroom on the first floor. She'd have to put structural supports in because at the time, the joists were designed to handle 140 pounds per square inch. But you would have to basically go in and provide additional support so you wouldn't collapse the house. Well, if you look at the code, the way it's written, it's not clear whether you need a permit to put those structural supports in or not. Or let's say that my house is 8 years old, and when I walk the floor, you know, the beams have been there 80 years, and they're a little bit damp, and they squeak, and they bounce a little bit. I want to put structural supports underneath to stop the bounce and stop the squeaking. So I go underneath, I dig the footings and put it in. Well, some counties and some cities and towns require you to have a building permit. It's in the way the law is written, it's not clear whether you really need to or not. Others require it. So some places you have to get a permit, some you don't. It's clarifying rules and regulations like that. And the reason I bring this up is we have one business in my district that does, last year they did a little over $60 million. Next year they'll do about $100 million with acquisitions and growing. And, they're a huge company. Well, this company has one contractor's license for the entire company. So DPOR goes in and says, hey, we're going to fine you X amount because you didn't pull a permit on this job. Well, the company goes, well, we didn't have to. It's not required in this county. It is in others, but it's not required here. And they get into a big thing, and next thing you know, they're getting fined, and DPOR threatens to pull their license. Mm-hmm. Well, that basically says we're going to take you, Mr. $60 to $60 million company, going to $100 million, and because we don't like the fact that you're giving us, well, we didn't have to pull a permit. You wanted us to pull a permit. And, you go back and forth, and the law is not clear, and you're threatening to pull a business license, or not a business license, but the contractor's license of a $60 million company that employs, 600 employees. That's not right. So what we do is we try to get involved and engaged, and, DPOR pushes one way, and then you have to remind them of their stated goal, and you push and you push and you push. But, our job is to create an environment for our businesses to fail. When we have government overreach, and in the case of DPOR, we had one of our local judges here basically say that they've misapplied the laws, violated our statutes, and that it wasn't an isolated incident, it was a systemic problem. So when we get something like that, we have to review the law, review what they're doing, and then crack down on them a little bit to straighten it out so they understand what their roles and responsibilities are. It's like, any other place, you get individuals, and on the enforcement side, sometimes it could be one or two bad apples. They think that they're a mall cop, and they think they're in charge, and, there's 100 reasons why they ended up where they did in life. And frankly, they let the job and the power go to their head, and they forget that their role is to ensure public safety, mm-hmm. but also to promote a positive business climate. And you have to remind them of that at times. And from our standpoint, again, that's one example. I can give you another 4 or 5 just from my district. So we've got to, get engaged and involved and push back, where otherwise, I don't think we should be wasting our time on that.
Right. And I've had a situation with building contractors who had applied for like a C license. There's A, B, and C, and each license allows you to do a little bit more than the other depending on the license. We have 30 seconds to the break. Boy, I'm so glad that you can stay on. We're going to come back on the air at 4:44, but I hope you all will stay tuned. This is good stuff here. This is real life, everyday problems and issues that we have. We're going to come back in 4 minutes. Senator DeSteph and Senator Chase right here, your state legislators taking your calls, 804-454-1366. We'll be right back after the break.
This hour on WNTW 820 The Answer, featuring Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase, is sponsored by All-in-One Services, Richmond's leader in flooring, bathroom, and kitchen remodeling. Call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
Hey there, did you know that with a bachelor's degree, on average, you could make almost twice as much over a lifetime than a person with just a high school diploma? It's true. According to the 2012 U.S. Census Bureau, college grads with a bachelor's degree make almost twice as much as high school grads. Now, going back to school is easier than ever at Independence University. Log on and complete coursework from the park, or the beach, or even your couch watching the kids. And Independence University gives you the tools, a free tablet and laptop for undergrad students to use and keep when they graduate. That's right. Get a laptop so you can go to college from anywhere. Take the first step to a new career in business, information technology, healthcare, or graphic arts. Call to find the online degree program that's right for you, and you could be on your way to increasing your earning potential.
800-989-1361. 800-989-1361. That's 800-989-1361.
If your financial plan is even slightly out of tune, you may be paying too much for taxes, exposing yourself to too much risk, or retiring without a sound income plan. Listen to WNTW AM 820 The Answer on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 8:30 a.m. to Financially Tuned with Big John Pulowski of Norseman Advisory Group. You can contact Big John at 757-223-1559 or visit the website at norsemanagi.com.
Are you passionate about liberty? Then join Americans for Prosperity and hundreds of Virginians at the premier grassroots event in the country. The Defending the American Dream Summit is coming to Richmond this August 19th. Come hear top leaders discuss how we're rolling back big government policies that destroyed jobs and hiked our healthcare costs. Save now with early registration. Visit defendingthedream.com today. That's defendingthedream.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Before the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People was the Dale Carnegie course. Now, after 104 years, over 8 million people experience Dale Carnegie courses. People like Warren Buffett and Ronald Reagan. The Dale Carnegie experience uses proven techniques to permanently unlock the potential of top talent, making individuals into inspiring leaders and groups into high-performing teams, while reducing the financial and emotional costs of employee turnover. For more information, visit DaleCarnegieRichmond.com. That's DaleCarnegieRichmond.com. All-in-One Services has been Greater Richmond's premier floor, bath, and kitchen remodeler for over a decade, saving local homeowners thousands of dollars. Call All-in-One Services now at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. With All-in-One's A to Z service, you won't need subcontractors. Everything is included. All-in-One also lets you see your kitchen before it's remodeled with 3D software suited for homeowners and contractors alike. You'll quickly see why All-in-One is consistently in the top 5% of Angie's List and a repeat winner of their Super Service Award. With your floor, bath, and kitchen remodeling needs, call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. That's 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
This is State Senator Amanda Chase on Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. The number here is 804-454-1366. Give us a call if you have any questions about our discussion today or would like to weigh in. I want to switch over to high college tuition since I have 4 kids, and I've got a college student here in my studio today. You know, the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia just issued a report to state lawmakers on Wednesday that calls for a fresh look at new ways of funding public tuition institutions of higher learning in the face of state spending cuts in 8 of the past 10 years. Did you see that one, Senator DeSteph?
I did, and the issue goes back more than just a few years. And what happens is we have a high tuition, high aid model. So it's kind of amazing if you look at this from a Republican or a Libertarian viewpoint. You look at what's happening, and it's like, okay, let's say college tuition was $10,000. Okay, that's what tuition is. Well, we're going to provide 50% of the students $5,000 in aid. So we raise tuition another $2,000 to cover those additional students that we feel we want to provide aid to. And then now you've driven up the cost of tuition 20%, so you can increase the amount of children that you're providing scholarships to or aid to. And it just keeps going back. Well, oh, wait, we want to put more kids and give more kids the ability to go to college, and we want more children to have more aid. We're going to go back over here and raise tuition yet again. And we're going to base it on how much mom and dad makes. We're going to base it on how much the kid makes. We're going to base it on this. And then they go back and raise tuition again so they can provide more aid. That's like walking into a state park And when you get to the state park, they say, let me see your W-2, and we're going to charge you somewhere between $1 and $20 based on how much you make. We're walking into Walmart, and in Walmart saying, okay, you want that bag of chips, that's going to be $5 based on what you make. Oh, wait, you don't make that much, it's going to be $1.
That's a terrific analogy.
It spirals out of control, and we just keep going that direction. So I think it's out of control, and that what we need to do is a 4-year freeze or a 3-year freeze on any increases in tuition until we get this back under control and figure it out.
Well, one of my assertions on this whole thing is, from my article, I'm looking at the Richmond Times-Dispatch. It's in the front page today where it says, "Report Virginia needs new ways to fund universities" by Michael Martz. I want to give him credit for that report here. I kind of take issue with this article, and I will tell you why. They're putting the blame on the General Assembly for cutting funding. No, we visit these universities. I mean, I sit on higher education subcommittee, and I'm looking at all the new buildings that are going up at college universities, and I'm like, apply the money toward the students. Don't just keep building these bigger buildings.
Correct. And when we look at some of the buildings that are going up, when we were in college and grade school and high school, a square building or a rectangular building was the most efficient building, right?
That's right.
Look at some of the buildings going in today with the amount of glass, and they're LEED silver, LEED gold, LEED platinum buildings. So you've gone from building $115, $150 a square foot for these buildings to $300, $400, $500 a square foot. Now in medical buildings, hey, I agree. You need to spend $250, $300 a square foot. Science buildings, I agree with that too. But I don't agree with spending that much on dorm rooms. I can't agree with that.
Or weight rooms. So, they have weight rooms now. They have hot tubs. I mean, I have a daughter who graduated just recently from one of the Virginia colleges, and I thought, you have a what? You have a hot tub at a public university? I mean, that's just, Virginia Tech, we didn't have those. So,
well, I went to University of Maryland, and I'm telling you right now, we didn't have those. We did have a pretty good gym, but then again, the dorm rooms were nothing like the dorm rooms today.
Not at all.
Where my daughter went to school, they had 2 students per room, or even they had some of the rooms that you had, each child had a separate room in it was like a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment with 2 or 3 kids in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really? We had bunks in them where you had to bunk up.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a different environment completely.
So I am so tempted. I think I'm going to have an announcement at the beginning of our next higher education meeting. And I think Chev and some of these other folks need to do what we do at our household, at the Chase household. Whenever, let's say, income is, we go through seasons with our business where we do better in some months than others because of the weather. We're dependent on the weather. We may have more income one month than the other. So you adjust and you cut back. Or you save for the future. It's not just spend what you have and keep building bigger buildings and ask for more. And if you want more kids, spend it on the students. And
exactly.
I got a little annoyed with this article. I got to be completely honest with you. I thought my head was going to.
Well, if you remember last year, I was putting out quotes and statistics where the cost of living, and we all say the cost of living has gone up like crazy, and the cost of healthcare. Cost of healthcare has gone up 70-something% over the last 3 or 4 years. But look at the cost of education going up 2, 3, 4 times what the cost of healthcare has gone up. And everybody says healthcare is out of control. Cost of tuition is out of control. It's gone up 4 times, 3 times what healthcare has gone up.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Unbelievable.
We're actually, we have 4 kids, and we just had one that finished 4-year college, and then we're sending our next child to community college for 2 years to get the general eds out of the way. And so we can live at home. I mean, we're just a regular, normal family, and I think people out there are making adjustments as well. We want our kids to have a good education, but the colleges, I think, need to take a look at their budget and say, where can we make cuts instead of asking for more money? Because everybody's having to cut. So that's my 2 cents. I'll get off my soapbox.
I agree with you 110%. Here's one of the other things. So we have the TAG grants that if you apply for it, I believe it's up to $3,200, $2,800, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be for children who don't go to a public university in the state of Virginia. They go to a private university in the state of Virginia. Well, here's the problem. If that private university is a for-profit university, they can't use TAG grants. They have to use, they just can't use TAG grants. That's only for private institutions that are not for profit and fall within a certain criteria. TAG grants, the original concept of that was if a child didn't go to a Virginia Tech or a Virginia-based school, a Virginia public school, public college, that money would follow the student if they went to a private school. Or let's just say this. Let's say down here we have the Aviation Institute. They train kids up, and it's I believe it's a 3-year program to work and become a mechanic on jets.
Senator Steph, we have to go to a break real quick, but you hold that thought. Because when we come back from the break, you're going to get to finish your sentence. Y'all stay tuned.
All right.
Senator Bill DeSteph from Virginia Beach State Senator will be right back. Stay tuned.
And I'm sick and tired of hearing the word, and I'm sick and tired of catering to them, and I'm sick and tired of hearing what they think, because they don't think. All they do is spew the data that they get off an iPhone or what's been put into their silly little heads in the public schools.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820, The Answer.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155. All-in-One Services has been Greater Richmond's premier floor, bath, and kitchen remodeler for over a decade. Call All-in-One Services now at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. With All-in-One's A to Z service, you won't need subcontractors. Everything is included. With your floor, bath, and kitchen remodeling needs, call All-in-One Services today at 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR. You'll quickly see why All-in-One is consistently in the top 5% of Angie's List. That's 1-888-MY-CONTRACTOR.
Get your daily inspiration on our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on AM 590 and 107.7 FM. The Truth Network is now on 107.7 FM, just up the dial. For 24 hours of encouragement, enjoy 107.7 FM. Realign your focus on the most important things. Just turn your dial to our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on 590 AM and 107.7 FM.
Before a trip, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get where you want to be.
You will arrive at your retirement in 8
It's the same for retirement. You need a voice to guide you. In Richmond, that voice is Isaac Wright. Join him every Saturday at 3 and Sunday at noon on WNTW 820 The Answer. Isaac's experience can help your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take the first step by tuning in Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon for Retire Right with Isaac Wright.
Arriving at your retirement.
Are you passionate about liberty? Then join Americans for Prosperity and hundreds of Virginians at the premier grassroots event in the country. The Defending the American Dream Summit is coming to Richmond this August 19th. Come hear top leaders discuss how we're rolling back big government policies that destroyed jobs and hiked our healthcare costs. Save now with early registration. Visit defendingthedream.com today. That's defendingthedream.com.
Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with State Senator Chase. And we're back for the final wrap-up. This show has really gone quickly today, Senator DeSteph, but I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. And it's nice to have a veteran state senator on the line. So it's great to have you here today. We've covered a lot of subjects here today. We didn't get to talk about electric personal delivery devices, which was one of your bills that was passed and signed. Maybe we can take 2 minutes and talk about that real quick. Tell folks in a cut to the chase version what that bill is going to allow to happen in Richmond.
Well, what that allowed to happen is real quick, less than a minute. Imagine a cooler that does the last mile of delivery, an automated cooler that drives down the sidewalks, comes up to your door, and says your package is here, lifts up the package, you grab your package. Then that goes back to its UPS or FedEx truck or Big Brown or Big Blue, whatever it is, and then climbs back in, loads up for the next package. They can literally walk in or pull into a neighborhood, put out 10 to 12 packages in the same amount of time that they could have one person delivering two packages.
So that's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens with that. But, technology and innovation is just changing the delivery services altogether. I mean, who would have thought we could order our groceries online and have them delivered to our door already, even at Walmart? So, with Amazon expanding and acquiring Whole Foods, we're getting ready to see a lot of cool stuff coming up. So we've got 2 minutes before the show is over. I just want to, first of all, State Senator Bill DeSteph, we just so appreciate you coming on the show today, and I hope you'll come back.
Definitely, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you had fun today.
Always.
My seatmate,
We're going to
my
have fun
colleague.
this year in Richmond.
That's absolutely right. I always have fun sitting next to Senator DeSteph. I learn a lot, and I love his experience. I'm serving in the military, and I'm very pro-military. My family is as well, and so anything I can do to help the military, and I love sitting beside him because I learned so much. Well, thank you again for joining us today on Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase on WNTW The Answer. I hope you're going to join us again next Thursday for our weekly town hall from 4 to 5 p.m. as we answer your questions, get your input, and address issues that are important to you. You're going to get to hear, we're having our series called Meet Your Legislators, and we're interviewing the Senate right now. Today we've had Senator Bill DeSteph, Senator from Virginia Beach, with us on the phone today. Just a reminder that if you would like notices of upcoming events, town halls, or my weekly newsletter, please visit my website at www.chase4senate.com and sign up. And during session, you're going to get a weekly update every Friday, and out of session, we send this out monthly. Or you can just tune in every Thursday on our weekly town hall here on WNTW AM 820 AM and FM 97.7. The Answer on Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. Until next week, stay tuned.